ESV Bible, please visit www.est.org.
Hey you guys, so for today's video I wanted to chat about something that I've been putting off for a long time and I don't even really know why. One of my New Year's resolutions in 2020 was to read the Bible cover to cover. I did a daily reading plan and I finished the entire Bible in 1 year. So I kind of just wanted to chat about that, my experience, how I did it, my tips, a couple things that I learned, all the ups and downs of note taking and all kinds of things that went along with that. Little bits of a scenery change for this video, which is solely because our air conditioning is broken. And this is my bedroom, which is the coolest room in the house because we have a window unit air conditioner. So we can still sleep comfortably, but my office is upstairs where I usually film and it is just way too stinking, excruciatingly sticky and hot and humid up there, especially with these lights. I can't film up there right now. So we're in my bedroom and we're gonna chat about the Bible. I gotta get my coffee. So I kept putting off this video because I wanted to really structure it. I wanted to, have like an outline and be very concise and helpful in this video, but I truly couldn't figure out how to structure it or exactly what I wanted to say. So I was kind of just hoping that once I sat down and started filming, that whatever I needed to say would kind of just come out. So this is probably going to end up being a very laid back, chill video about reading the Bible. I'm going to be very candid about how difficult it could be at times, about how inadequate I still feel, because it felt incredible on New Year's Eve to have finished it and to have read the entire Bible, but at the same time I just was overwhelmed with like this, oh my gosh, there's still so much I don't know. I've read the entire Bible. I feel like I should know more. I should have more answers. But the Bible is a thick old book and there's no way that you can read it through once and just all of a sudden be like a trained theologian. And I've had to let myself be okay with that, because I know that there's even going to be times years and years from now where maybe I've read the entire Bible again several times over and there's something I read in there that I'm like, I never even noticed that before. Or wow, I totally read this book, but I really need to hear that right now. If you are thinking of reading through the entire Bible, I did it in 1 year. I restarted the same reading plan this year in 2021, and I am about maybe like a week and a half behind. I'm really not doing as well this year as I was last year. Last year, I stayed pretty consistent. There was definitely gaps, but I really wanted to finish it in 1 year, so I would double up. Like I would try to catch up instead of just picking up where I left off. I would do several days of reading in one day to catch up, because I told myself, I am finishing this on New Year's. There was no grace that I gave myself in that sense. So when I very first started reading the Bible, I plain and simply used my iPad. I had the YouVersion Bible app read it to me on my iPad, and then I was taking notes in this journal here. And initially when I purchased this at the beginning of 2020, I wanted this to last me the whole year. And I think I made it to like April. So this is where all my notes are up until day 113, which was 1 Chronicles 1 and 2. And as you'll see, my note taking really evolved over the year, and even this year it's evolved a lot. It's different every day, and I've had to also learn to be okay with that my notes don't have to look the exact same every day. They don't always have to be super formatted with nice handwriting and pretty. Now that I usually take notes on my iPad, I'm always, like switching up colors and adding little stickers and graphics and stuff, which is super fun, and I truly love making it look pretty. But some days my notes are just chicken scratches in my physical Bible. For my birthday in 2020, I turned 23, and this is what I asked for from my parents. So first I used my iPad for a while, then I started using this one. I believe it's the Gethsemane version from Hosanna Revival. I think it is such a pretty color. It just says the Word of God, the Holy Bible on the spine, and then on the back it says, He will be our peace, Micah 5:5. So I really love this Bible. It is an ESV. It's got 2 columns and then the margins for note taking. This is what I primarily used all throughout 2020. I did get myself a new Bible when I restarted the plan in 2021. This one is a CSB, and I got it off of Amazon, but I think the cover is so pretty. I love the florals. Most girls that I follow on Instagram, when they're asked about what versions of the Bible they like best, they always say ESV or CSB. And since I had already read an ESV, I wanted to try a CSB. And while I do love it and it's easier to understand, I do think I prefer an ESV personally. One of the motifs throughout the Bible that really stuck out to me was the phrase steadfast love. Couldn't even believe how many times that phrase came up, especially when I was reading throughout the Old Testament in my ESV. And that is not how it is translated in the CSB. So I don't know if that's why I so much prefer an ESV. It typically is translated as faithful love in the CSB. I don't know why, I love the phrase steadfast. So I do think I like ESV a little bit better, but both are great and a little bit easier to understand, especially compared to like a King James Version, even NIV. I like ESV and CSB. So this is the gospel set from Alabaster Company. They sell different books of the Bible in separate book form. They're sort of like coffee table books. They're meant to be beautiful to look at and to, you know, sit on your coffee table or on your bookshelf and sort of spark interest in whoever sees them. These are a nice way to sort of open up that conversation about your faith with people over at your house. But like I said, this is the gospel set and I think it is so stinking adorable. I think my favorite one is Luke. It's so like bright and happy, but these are truly so pretty. They have precious pictures. It's laid out a little bit more aesthetically. They have the heading still and all of the chapters and verses and everything. So it still reads like a Bible, but thrown in there is stunning pictures. I absolutely love this one. It's my favorite. Visual imagery and thoughtful design integrated within the Bible, cultivating conversation between art, beauty, and faith. Now, full disclosure, this set was sent to me by Alabaster, so thank you so much. This is such a beautiful gift. I did agree to make a video featuring these Bibles, but they're not paying me at all. This video is not sponsored, but these were gifted to me for free. Just want to be completely transparent about that. So you can get these or any of the other books of the Bible that they have. They don't only have the Gospels, they also have Acts, the Psalms, and you can grab them from Alabaster's website. I will have the link in the description box, and I do also have a coupon code for you guys. It's just my name, Hannah, in all caps, and you guys can get 10% off of your order. Again, I don't make any money with that code. That is just for you guys to get a little bit of money off. So I would definitely do some research, kind of familiarize yourself with some of the different versions of the Bible, and you can always switch back and forth as well. That's another thing that I love about the Bible app, YouVersion, is that you can choose a specific verse and then hit compare, and it will just give you all of the different translations of that one verse. So you can kind of decipher the more overarching meaning of the verse rather than just taking that one translation as gospel. Because like I said, some of them are thought for thought, some of them are word for word, some of them are a paraphrase, some of them are sort of like meaning for meaning. So use your discernment, do your research. Like I said, I like the ESV, tried CSB, and I do think I prefer the ESV. So far ESV is my favorite. NIV is another really widely used one. So the reading plan that I used is a chronological one. It's called the Bible Recap, and it breaks up the Bible into day-by-day reading. So it'll give you chapters to read every day, and they don't necessarily follow the same layout as your Bible, especially once you get to the Psalms. There's a lot of flipping around because the Bible is not laid out chronologically. You can purchase chronological Bibles, but there is some discrepancies between them, which is no big deal. That's one thing I did learn reading the Bible, is that there are discrepancies between translations, between different books. Sometimes two different people will write their accounts of the same thing, and there will be discrepancies between the two. Phylicia Masonheimer has an amazing podcast discussing discrepancies in the Bible and things like that. So I'll also link that podcast down below because she can answer so many more questions than I can. So if that's something that you struggle with, like the Bible having been written so long ago, it's like, how do we know it's actually factual? How do we know? How do we know? Listen to Phylicia Masonheimer's podcast because it's incredible. So I open my Bible app, I find the day that I'm on, and I flip to whatever it tells me to. I will do that day's reading, and then I typically will just read and take notes in my physical Bible that usually looks like underlining and random little chicken scratches in the margins. Sometimes I ask questions, and then typically after the fact, I will go through this layout of notes. So I created this notebook. It's sort of a guided, formatted journal. You can find a few of these on my Etsy shop. I think I have a couple left, but I called it Everyday Faith. And it basically is a note-taking outline. So I have different sections like keywords, my favorite verse, a notes, just a general note section, and then a prayer and application section. That's the one that I struggle with the most. I'm really bad at praying. I don't know how to pray. I need to work on that. But typically in the notes section, I take notes after I'm done reading. And then once I'm done with that part, I go to the Bible Recap podcast and I listen to that day's recap by Tara Lee Cobble. And then I take notes in the lower section of the notes section. Like I said, typically that's how it would go, especially last year through my first trip through the Bible. That's typically how I would do notes. Now, like I said, I'm so far behind that I'm usually just frantically writing in the margins of my actual Bible, which also works. But throughout the process of reading my Bible last year, I went through a lot of different phases of note-taking. So all 4 of these plus my iPad is what I used to take notes last year. So I feared that if there ever was a time during my second trip through the Bible in 2021, if there was a time that I wanted to reference my notes, I thought this is going to be a nightmare to flip through and try and figure out where that day's reading is. So I went through them all and I organized them into one nice, easy, spiral-bound notebook. And I have been using it. So I created this cover just on Canva, and I essentially just took pictures of all of my notebooks and organized them in a way that it's in the same order as the Bible reading plan. You know, when I get to day 139, I can just find it in this notebook, read what I wrote last year, and then I'm sort of set up for this day's reading more so than I would be just going into it blindly, if that makes sense. That was one thing that was really important to me, was being able to reference my old notes, which is what kind of made it difficult, having taken notes sometimes on my iPad, sometimes in this random notebook, sometimes in this random notebook, and then I started creating journals, so sometimes they're in there. So I compiled them all into one book so that I'm able to find what I'm looking for easier. So just a few things that I noticed while I was actually going through the process of reading the Bible. I would say give yourself grace. You will never know everything. There are so many motifs in the Bible, and that always stood out to me as it's important. If it's worth repeating so many times, it must be something that we should remember, like steadfast love. One thing I thought was super funny about the Bible is just sometimes the way that time moves. Sometimes 400 years could pass in the course of 2 verses, and sometimes it's like minute for minute. You can truly find Jesus anywhere you look. Even in the Old Testament, there are there are several Christophanies where Jesus kind of appears in human form before his birth in the New Testament, which is really, really incredibly cool. And in the age of the internet, there really are endless resources for you. Phylicia Masonheimer's podcast, like I mentioned, hers is very intellectual and sometimes it's like way the heck over my head. The Bible Recap is one I use almost every day. I love the Bible Project. They have all kinds of videos that have recaps of each book of the Bible, as well as some other informational videos that are much, much easier to follow. I'm a huge fan of Milena Ciciotti. I love her podcast that she does with her husband, Jordan. He is very, very smart and gifted when it comes to Bible literacy, so I like to listen to what he has to say about the Bible. There's Simple Bible on Instagram. There are just so many endless resources out there. In fact, you guys should list your favorites down below because I'm always open to finding new ones. And like I said, give yourself grace. You don't have to have that like Instagram picture perfect space set up to study the Bible. I do have my desk upstairs. I love reading my Bible there. Sometimes though, I throw my Bible in my purse and I have to read in between clients at work. A lot of the time my Bible reading ends up happening right here in bed, which I also love. There's nothing wrong with being cozy, I don't think. I know some people might feel that way, but I think God likes to be invited into our everyday, whether that's your kids are screaming in the other room, playing with each other, or maybe just listening to it on your way to work. I did that so much when we were in the process of moving into this house. I got so behind on my reading plan and I was just so hard on myself about having to sit down, physically read it with my eyes and physically take notes. And I just got myself so behind that I was like, it doesn't matter as long as you just read it. Just ingest it. Ingest? Is that gross? So I think that's everything for this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was like a little bit helpful. I just sort of wanted to share how I did it, what exactly I did, why I liked it. I guess I didn't really share why I liked it. I liked it because it's always something, I mean, it's something that Christians are called to do. And I've been a Christian my entire life, and I've never really read the Bible. I knew of Bible stories from church and things like that, but after having read the Bible, there were so many times where I would be in a certain part of the Bible, reading a certain story in the Bible, and then that Sunday's sermon would be about it. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's crazy timing. Or even if they don't sync up to be, you know, the same timeline, if a pastor is telling a story at church, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've actually read that now. I'm not just learning about it for the first time now. I'm diving deeper into the story and learning about their motivations. I'm learning more about Jesus in every single verse. You learn more about Jesus, whether it's easy to see or not, because there are definitely times where I'm like, what does this have to do with me? What does it have to do with anything? I don't understand why this is important. And that's where commentaries and references come in handy, because I'm the type of person that gets frustrated if I don't understand something. So if I read a passage, I'm like, this means nothing to me. I don't know what that means. I don't know. And then I listen to a podcast and the host points out something that I didn't even think of. That's that. That is how I read the Bible from cover to cover. Let me know in the comments down below how you like to read the Bible. If you like to read the Bible, ask me questions. Let's chat about reading the Bible in the comments. So that's everything for this video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss any future videos of mine, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. Hey, you guys. I believe it's the Gethsemane. I meant to put Bible versions and I put Bible Verizon. Like the Bible having been written. What?